make more good in the all-new Sportage X-Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local Lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
New Trail Brewing Company proudly crafts their beers right here in central Pennsylvania. Brewed with only the best possible ingredients, New Trail produces a variety of year-round brands as well as weekly experimental recipes. New Trail Broken Heels is Pennsylvania's favorite local hazy IPA. This beer is smooth and full-bodied. Hand-selected Citra hops lead to notes of bright clementine and juicy ruby red grapefruit. Broken Heels is perfect for a pregame tailgate all the way through the victory celebration.
What's the best mid-size pickup? Tacoma. What's the number one mid-size truck in resale value? Tacoma. Want to get great gas mileage, 4 doors, and 4-wheel drive? Tacoma. Sioka Toyota of Williamsport has over 25 available right now. You can lease a brand new, never-driven Toyota Tacoma for just $379 a month. That's 30 months, 3,000 cash or trade, 10,000 miles a year. This is while supplies last. Buy yours or reserve yours today and see the Sioka difference. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.
We welcome you into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show on what is a really kind of perfect autumn afternoon here in the Valley of Happiness as we get ready for a little game we like to call Bring on the Buckeyes.
Yeah, buddy.
Not sure we really want to do that, but no choice. They will be brought.
No need to
kickoff.
No need to antagonize them.
Noon kickoff on Saturday. Penn State coming off a nice rebound win, Goon, as we were talking about last week. Needed the victory, hoping that they would look good. First quarter, I was pretty discouraged, pretty upset. The situation with the 4th and short and the punt team, 25 players out on the field. I'm like, what in the world? Like, how can this team not be prepared again for a game? But to their credit, got things turned around. Again, it certainly helped that Minnesota had a quarterback that was making his first career start. That is not the environment you want to be making your first career start in. And listen, I mean, that played a large role. Penn State did what it needed to do. I'm not going to get too carried away on a whiteout victory over a quarterback that is making his first career start. Again, check it off. Accomplishment and what you needed to do was done. But now it is time to see how much improvement Penn State can actually make in just 2 weeks between the Michigan and Ohio State, because it needs to be a world of improvement just for Penn State to be competitive here on Saturday, Goon.
They're going to play the perfect game. There's no doubt about it. And then Ohio State needs to come back a little bit. It's just it's what you play college football for. The number one, one of the number
question.
I think they're probably the number one team in the country, but Georgia hasn't lost yet, so they're not going to take that over. They are loaded, top to bottom, left to right, everything. Offense, defense. It's a damn good team they have going there. But I just know our kids, and having to deal with them on for me and Chris's show.
Yeah,
they're not going to be afraid, man. I got this aura about them, but they're not going to be afraid to go out there, and they're not going to be not jacked up to play this game. So, and I go back to last year. I mean, we stunk last year, but we played really well against Ohio State.
Well, and that is the one thing for as much as fans, and I know the wins aren't there, but you name me a team that has played Ohio State better, more consistently than Penn State under James Franklin. Penn State is pretty much always in the game, probably should have, could have, and you could argue that coaching decisions played into it, whatever, but there were a couple of games there that Penn State certainly, 1-point losses. Those are games that obviously could go either way, went Ohio State's way, and Last season, there's no question Ohio State had the better team. But as you said, I think Penn State played one of its best, if not its best game of the season, and kept it competitive. And that is, again, the one thing that James Franklin has done consistently is get this team to play well, very well against Ohio State. And, it is a home game. I think even though you'd love the whiteout atmosphere against the Buckeyes, the noon kickoff can play to your advantage as well. I mean, Ohio State is on the road. The early kick on the road can be a bit of a challenge. To me, that the biggest thing is that, can Penn State do anything to kind of neutralize the line of scrimmage advantage that Ohio State on paper has pretty significantly over the Nittany Lions. And listen, Ohio State's wide receivers, I think Penn State's secondary and cornerbacks in particular are sensational, but you might be going against the best receiving core in the country. It's certainly up there for Ohio State and a quarterback that is one of the best in the country as well. But, at least from that standpoint, it is strength on strength with Ohio State's passing game against Penn State's passing defense, unlike what we saw a couple of weeks ago. And again, I didn't think it would be as much of a weakness as it turned out to be with Ohio State's rush defense and that front seven against Michigan's offensive line. But if I feel like every week it's a capital IF, if Penn State can get some pressure on the quarterback, I think there is at least a chance for Penn State to slow down Ohio State's offense. The problem to me going into this game is I just don't think even if you slow Ohio State down, slowing Ohio State in this offense down is keeping it in the 30s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an accomplishment. To me, a significant one if Penn State is able to keep the Buckeyes in the 30. The problem is I just don't see Penn State's offense being able to get into the 30s, and I think it'll be an effort to get into the 20s against this Ohio State D with the way Penn State has been playing this season.
Well, what's our strength of our team? We've been talking about it all year is our defensive backfield. There's no doubt about that. There's no way to hide that. And that is their strength, is the wide receiving core. So there's a matchup right there. We'll say, I'll give the Buckeyes, a 60-40 advantage there. But, I mean, I'm not really reinventing the wheel and saying that this team goes the last 3 or 4 years as Sean Clifford goes. If he is not playing well, this team does not show up. But when he plays well, this team rallies around him pretty well. And go back to last year's Ohio State game, and that was one of his best games of his career until this past weekend, which – he was on fire this past weekend. It was a great game for him. After the first quarter. See, Jeff, you remember what I did? I had to leave. I had to go home because the Phillies were playing. So
Did the Phillies have a game?
Yes, the Phillies had a game.
Be darned. How'd that go?
We're about 10 minutes away from the replay here at Bryce Harper's home run. I mean, if we want to call him Mazeroski, it's Mazeroski, but without the pennant. But he missed Mazeroski legendary status by 3 outs. But so the Oklahoma State-Texas game went long. So the TV broadcast was on like whatever. But it was the first. So actually, I missed the first 10, 15 minutes of this game. It probably wasn't a bad thing to miss from what I've been hearing and reading about everybody. But all I saw was the good stuff. Defensively, we played very well. Offensively, I mean, Sean, yeah, you're right, had a great second, third, and fourth quarter. I mean, he was on fire. Yeah. And there was questionable he was even going to play, they were saying. But we did exactly what we had to do this past weekend, and that was, take advantage of a quarterback who never started in an environment like that out there. And, again, I go back to, doing the show last night, and we were asking the defensive guys how much they feed off of these guys. And I think Kobe King said, there are times when I can't hear myself screaming at my players. He's a defensive guy. Obviously, offensively, our fans are quiet. But when our defense is on the field and the fans are trying to disrupt the offense, holy hell, he goes, I can't. I'm trying to make adjustments and this and that, and I can't even hear myself.
Yeah.
So just a great environment this past week. Everybody,
was,
the players loved it.
It was amazing.
And I made the plea last night that they need to do this about twice as much on Saturday to have a shot against these guys. And I think we do have a shot. I mean, it's a puncher's punch, punch, man.
I mean, I say it every week, but it's college football, and although the favorites win a lot more often than not, there are crazy upsets that happen each season. And again, yes, Penn State will have to play out of its mind, and Ohio State will have to play one of its worst games. Turnovers. That's the hope, right? If you're Penn State, you're hoping you can get to +2, maybe +3 even in the turnover battle. Which is a very tall order against a well-coached, well-disciplined team. But I mean, that's that's what you're hoping for. That it's just one of those days for the Buckeyes, and that Penn State is able to take advantage of it. And and they have the ability to. I mean, there is. we have more than a puncher's chance, in my opinion. You know what I mean? We're still a top 15 team in the country. There is a little bit of separation between them and us. And it's just I think that separation between the top probably 3, maybe 4 right now. Tennessee obviously is a team worth watching here. And the thing with Tennessee, when you have the elite quarterback play, right, it does get you not by itself, but it gets you into contention, and that's what Tennessee has right now is, just fantastic play at the quarterback spot. And as you said, if Sean Clifford can play out of his mind, limit the mistakes, not have the early game turnover.
Starts with protection.
It starts with protection. It also starts with, I think, the game calling, and I just the play calling. And I think they've got to do to me, one of the keys to this game, if Penn State is to have any chance, you've got to get off to a good start. And what that means to me is get Sean Clifford offensively, is get Sean Clifford in a rhythm and get some short passes. The tight ends have been very, very good at catching the ball and getting some yards after catch. Get them involved early with short passes. Get your running backs, with some swing passes involved early. Get some quick hitters so that pass rush, you're not even worried about it. It's 3 steps, boom, ball is out, and 3-4 yards of reception. That's going to be okay early on. Keep the chains moving. Keep that Ohio State offense on the bench, and then try to open up hopefully some things for that running game. So again, I think there is a path to victory there. I just think it is a
run the ball,
really
Jeffrey,
difficult path.
Keep that offense off the field and have a decent run game.
Yeah, I think one of the things that they have to do though is mix up better the run pass ratio on first down. It cannot be a run every time on first down when you're trying to get, again, a rhythm going with that offense. And I think they've got to do a better job of getting Sean Clifford and the tight ends and receivers involved early in the game on Saturday on first down. And again, it doesn't have to be the home run ball. Yep. You can get the 3-4 yards that you'd like to get on the running game with the pass game. But I think if you can do that and get some rhythm and get some things established early with the passing game, I think that helps open up the running game and helps open up the possibility, at least, for some deeper passes later in the game against the Buckeyes. But listen, it is a really tall order on Saturday. I'm excited about it, and more so, I want to see, just from a measuring stick standpoint, did Penn State learn some things? Can it make some adjustments from that Michigan loss a couple of weeks ago? Again, it was a good win Saturday night, but this is the last chance to get a signature victory this season. In the regular season, obviously, the bowl game will present an opportunity, you hope, as well. But this is the last chance to get a win that you're not expecting to get this regular season now.
A lot of things got to go right. but weird things have happened. just got to roll it out there and have the faith in these guys that can go out there and do it, and they're going to give their best shot, and hopefully they play and they fight and they have some pride in this and that, and they think that they showed that last week because they could have easily just folded the tents last week and just like they have in the past few years, and they didn't do that this past week, and I'm very happy with that. And I think these kids are going to go out to this game, and you know what? It's not a bad thing being in the noon game. They're not thinking about it all day. Just get up, have your breakfast, go to the locker room, get changed, and go play a game, man.
Yep.
Shock the world, baby. Shock it.
Yep, great atmosphere, as you said. And I think Penn State,
another weather-wise, it's supposed to be beautiful again.
Did a lot of things right on Saturday. The one thing that I wish that they had done, and I don't know how many, all of the on-field appearances were fantastic, but getting Eli Manning out there to do the We Are Penn State would have brought the house down. Trace McSorley nearly did, but I'm telling you, if they had brought Eli out just for one of those and had him, hey, Chad Powers is with us. Chad, give us a. They would have walk on. That was the one thing I think they could have done that would have been even better than what they did do. But it was just a great atmosphere. It is.
The whole day was beautiful. I mean, you stopped by the tailgate with the family. How the man do it? How'd Reg do at the game?
We didn't. He did not go to the game. He tailgated all day and then went home with friends and did a sleepover. So all went well there. But just a great day, great night. The first quarter I get too worked up, but it was just so frustrating. I'm like, oh, come on, this can't be how you start a whiteout game. But again, to their credit, they got it.
Good for you is that you didn't have cell phone reception to get any texting or text.
That is a fact.
How upset you were with all your buddies.
Yep. This is very, very true.
Oh, Lord.
That was the one blessing.
I'm telling you, Jeff, I mean, now you were at the tailgate, and I saw people. The mailman showed up this week.
Oh, yeah.
I lifted my head up from my grill for about a 4-minute window there of about the 8 hours that I was cooking. It felt like, and I saw the Ironhead was in the house, the Mad Turtle, and then I turned around and the mailman was there. It was great. It was
beautiful
good.
thing.
But I'm telling you, man, I told somebody, I said I would go through 2 or 3 bad tailgates like we had at Northwestern because it's like crappy weather to have that like long, beautiful 72 or 65 degree weather all day like we had on Saturday. And they're talking about 62 being the high this week and sunny again. My Lord, man. I had a weird I was begging, let's just say that, for the Phillies game 2 to be at 4:30 in the afternoon and just sit up in the parking lot and watch the game at the tailgate after the Penn State game. But obviously that's not until 8 o'clock now. But that was a pretty good plan at the time.
Yeah. It's still not going to be too bad of a day.
So I don't know if I'm going to be around after the next few weeks. I mean, have we talked? I mean, we haven't talked about it on the air. So I got.
No.
Let's put this in. So I got Phillies World Series Friday, Saturday, wrapped around a Penn State Ohio State game, followed by a Eagles Steelers game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Phillies Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at home versus the Houston Astros in game 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles play at the Houston Texans on Thursday night. And then they have 2 more games against the Astros if needed, and my 50th birthday. So I'm pretty sure November 6th might be like my
pretty uneventful.
Yeah, it might be my induction into rehab. Betty Ford just called and said they have a nice plan going on. But
yeah,
so we're coming up on Harper. Just so
yes,
we're about 3 minutes away. So I mean, have you ever seen a $330 million home run? Because I saw one on Sunday. Absolutely.
I will say I was pleased with the Steelers' adjustments after. I really thought we were on our way to
what a weird game,
like a 49
what a weird
10
game
beat down by the Dolphins.
The Dolphins came out steaming.
Well, they're off. I mean, it looked like it was going to be absolutely unstoppable. I mean, two was throwing dimes, and they were right. I mean, just such quick hitters.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no matter what you do defensively, I'm like, I mean, there are nights. It's just like when Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes are on, I don't care who the defense is. Like they're putting up 30 no matter what. And I really, with the way the Steelers started that game and the Dolphins, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like a 49-10 absolute.
Give them credit.
It's going to be similar like the Bills game. And yeah, I mean, and you know, the interception.
The first half was two different games.
Pickett. Yeah, and listen, I think
I can't believe they lost like that.
Yeah, I'm still. It's some growing pains right now. I do think if they can get an offensive line together, Kenny Pickett, I am starting to think more and more, and I know the interception, basically cost them the game, but that was a great pick, by the way. But I think this guy is going to play himself into being, I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I think he's going to be a really good starting quarterback. I really do. I think that I'm despite some of the missteps, I'm more and more on the Kenny Pickett bandwagon here as the future of the franchise. It's just this is going to be a rough season. I think there will be some good moments this season for the Steelers. I think there will be some more good wins, but it's definitely a work in progress here offensively. And I do think that the Steelers would be wise to look around at some trades right now, especially offensively. And
unload
and there's a lot of talk Chase Claypool maybe on the out there.
I've never liked him. Do you think he's worn his welcome out physically or just his attitude?
I think it's more an attitude thing. Again, I think he's a terrific receiver. Sure. Not as consistent as you'd like, and he may develop into that. I mean, I think if you can get good value back, and I think the Steelers have to be looking at line play, right? And I think both lines, although primarily the offensive line, but if you can get a good young defensive lineman or some draft picks that you can use for good young defensive linemen and or offensive linemen, I think that is definitely the way to be going here. If you can pull it off.
Oh, there's one.
But I don't think you trade him just to trade him.
All right, as we watch Mr. Harper up at his bottom of the eighth bed. So, okay, the difference in the Eagles and the Steelers and Penn State, in my opinion, is that like people who want Aller to go out there and play, I get it, I understand, because it's like, hey, let's make his like Pickett is having growing pain mistakes. That's what they're asking Penn State to play Aller over top of Clifford.
Yeah.
Okay, but the Steelers aren't playing for anything already. They already know that they're not going anywhere.
Correct.
So you know what I mean? So it's like that's the difference in my opinion. Why are you still playing Sean Clifford? Because he gives us our best opportunity. We have one loss. We are still in this thing. If they run the table and win out, we are still good.
Yeah,
still good.
And here's the thing. I do think, even though I think Aller...
Even one more loss. 10 wins is the orange. Yeah.
I think Aller is clearly the quarterback that has more potential, has more of a natural skill set, the whole bit. But that's exactly it, Goon, is what which quarterback gives you the best chance to win right now. And I just think right now it is Sean Clifford. I think when we've seen Aller in there, there's still some errant throws, there's still some misreads, which again, as a true freshman against some really good defenses, you'd be expecting that. So it's not I'm in no way not excited about the future of Drew Aller and the Penn State offense under him. But I just think Sean Clifford, the other thing right now is Sean Clifford, I think, because of his feet, gives you, again, just specifically now talking about the Ohio State game, gives you a better chance. Aller, for as good as he is, and I think will be.
Yeah.
That offensive line still has some questions about it. And even if it didn't have questions, this is an outstanding defensive line that Ohio State has. And, Larry Johnson is not the worst defensive line coach in the country. And so I just think you want the most mobile quarterback you have in there. And I think, Sean Clifford right now is that, along with, yes, all of the experience that he has. And listen, he's had success, relatively speaking, against Ohio State. So that I think that to me, there's just no question that Clifford gives you the better chance to win this particular game, if not the rest of the games moving forward.
My Maz
Did he
moment,
hit
man.
that out?
Yeah.
No way.
Holy crap.
Oh, the Phillies took the lead. Yeah,
Yes,
Padres
they
will
did.
probably come back
My
and score in the
goodness
top
gracious.
of the ninth, though.
That is the.
It's a pretty good moment, though.
But still, again, I go back to what I was saying about people who were like, "Oh, well, Aller should be having these growing pains to get those rid of them rather than next year." I get that. I understand. We go down 2 or 3 games, and by the way, I have one before I forget. Your premonition came true.
Which premonition was that?
Oklahoma State lost to TCU last week.
Yep.
Their best D tackle said, "I'm done. I'm training for the NFL right now." So I was like, your season's not over, dude. You can still play for a Big 12 title. Possibly you have one loss. You're still going to go to the – I mean, come on, man. Just
That's – yeah.
And then
it's going to yeah.
It's I know you
as
soon as this came out 2 years ago, you said, well, this is going to be a problem when guys are like, what's going to stop them from losing the second game? And this was the first game that they lost. They had one loss.
Yeah.
And my thing, I'm an NFL program. I'm looking at that guy and saying, where's your dedication? Where's your dedication to your craft, to your business, to your friends, to your teammates? Where's that at? What are you doing? You're leaving them high and dry because you want to go train for the NFL. Okay, you have one loss. You're still eligible. You're still playing pretty damn well. Have the ability to play for a title. Yeah. And you leave because you want to train for the – I mean, that has to be called out. Has to be.
Well, and let me ask you this. In all seriousness, so training for the NFL, what better training is there than playing football? I mean, I'm being serious here.
There are people who combine people. So the combine freaks and this and that. So that's what he's probably going to try to do is become one of those. But I mean, what's the difference? You have 2 more months to train? I mean,
and I'm just telling you, if you are same thing, if you're an NFL scout, would you rather have this guy spending 2 more months in the weight room and with whatever speed experts that there are, or getting more experience in his craft, which is playing football? And I get strength training, all of this is important and it's part of it, but what you're trying to hire in the NFL is a football player. And I mean, there are plenty of examples of guys who were so-so at best in the weight room and all of that, but they know how to play football. And plenty of examples the other way around, by the way, of guys who are absolute phenoms and can do freakish things athletically, but you put pads on them and you get them out there, and it's it's just a different
look like Tarzan, play like Jane.
Well, and it's just not, there's a mentality that goes with playing football that, again, the weight room can help in that regard, but it's not, you're not hitting and wrapping somebody in the weight room. And that's, on defense or getting, proper technique and getting your shoulder into somebody or whatever it may be. Yep. There's just a lot more things. When you're preparing or training for the NFL, to me, playing football is a pretty good
I'm
way
182 years old. But I played football back when there was leather helmets and all that stuff. I got to say, I mean, I remember going to the NFL Combine, and this is something weird that, like, it was always one of the things, they don't care about that. They don't care about that. But in the end, they cared about it. So my senior year, I tore my knee up, game 3 against Wisconsin. I missed 2 games. I had to get my meniscus was taken out on my left knee, and then I played with, like, you figure 15 days later or whatever the hell it would be, 13 days later I played or something like that. I don't know, 20 days.
Yeah.
I missed 2 games. So then played in the bowl, got down there, went down to the Senior Bowl, played the Senior Bowl, played in the game, and then came back and had the combine like 3 or 4 weeks later. Do you think I had time to rehab my knee? I mean, looking back on it, I really should have not done anything at the combine and said, okay, why don't you come to my but that's not what you were taught back in the day. Right. And that was like the lie from the NFL, like, we don't worry about that. But when everything push comes to shove, it's exactly what they're doing. Whatever. I just have an issue. I think as an NFL coach or an NFL executive, I would have an issue with a guy who leaves his team mid-season because his specific reason for leaving was to train for the NFL. Like, I know that's going to be your future and that's your craft. I get it. I understand it. But you know what? I'm calling into question your dedication to your team, your friends, and your university, and just in general, because you're going to quit on your college team. You're going to quit on your NFL team. I mean, that's how the person has to look at that. You can't change the stripes from a tiger. So you called it 3 years ago, Jeffrey. You called it. I mean, you
Well,
did. I mean, as soon as I
it.
saw it last week, I said, oh, man, there we go. I could not believe what I saw.
Well, can I turn just to something else for a minute within the Big Ten? So, we're a couple of years away from the conference realignment and whatever that's going to look like
nationwide.
And presumably Penn State or the Big Ten is going to go away from the divisions, right? And you're going to have – now it's going to be interesting to see how they try to figure out the schedule, because that's going to play in significantly to the teams that can contend then for the Big Ten title. But when you are looking at this year's Big Ten championship game, I mean, right now the Big Ten is hoping like crazy that Illinois runs the table, because there's at least the potential to get an 11-1 Illinois team into the game, and that at least will create the illusion of an intriguing matchup for the Big Ten championship game. I think it is more likely that you are going to have a team with at least 3 losses playing in the Big Ten championship game. And meanwhile, in the East, I think it is possible, bordering on likely, that you'll have 3 teams with 2 or fewer losses. And again, it's the way it is. Everybody knows the rules going in. I'm not asking to change anything this year, but I do wonder why next year they're not expecting that they are going to do once we get to the expansion, because you tell me, Good. I mean, and I'm certainly not an Ohio State or a Michigan fan, but if Michigan wins out and Ohio State wins out, and that game is competitive,
one of them's locked out.
Who in their right mind would not rather see an Ohio State-Michigan rematch than Ohio State or Michigan against? And again, I'm assuming, and I wanted to bring up here the Illinois schedule. Illinois right now is 1 loss. Everybody else in the West has at least 3 losses already.
Before you read this, who are you projecting? Who do you want to see? Who you think's going to win?
Well, it's a jumbled mess. I mean, I think, again, my preference would be right now Illinois wins out, because, again, for the Big Ten sake,
Illinois winning out, just record-wise, would be better than a name like Nebraska?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Nebraska's their name is just that beat down right now.
I mean, they already have 3 losses, and it wasn't like they were good losses. I guess it would be an interesting story. So Illinois is at Nebraska this week, which is going to be that's a really intriguing game. Well, potentially, although I'm telling you, do you trust either of those teams to do what they were expected to do?
You know what? I would trust Red Bull with Bielema. I mean, honest to God, if I had to put a trust in any of them, I would put it in them. But yes, I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you.
The following week, it's Illinois is home with Michigan State, and again, Illinois will rightfully be favored, especially at home, but
they could lose
Michigan State now looks like maybe it has figured some things out. Then you have, it's a rivalry game with Purdue. And again, Illinois should win, but that Purdue offense is dangerous, and they seem to be figuring some things out. And then, the game at Michigan, which I give Illinois no chance. So you're down to at least 2 losses. I think the chances of Illinois getting to that Michigan game with no losses between now and then is not good. Between at Nebraska, again, home with Michigan State, home with Purdue, I'll be not shocked, but I would be surprised if Illinois runs through those 3 games without a loss in there. And then they finish up at Northwestern. But I think it feels to me like it's more likely than not that Illinois ends with 3 losses at least, which means, again, whoever comes out of the West.
Did they beat Nebraska? Because that might come down to the
it could very well.
on your Google machine.
Yeah, I can bring it up. But the point is, the potential is there for a top-ranked Ohio State team, undefeated team, to take on a 3-loss or worse West team that won't be ranked in the top 25. I mean, I think it is certainly possible. I think bordering on likely that the winner of the West will not be in the top 25 at the end of the season. I mean, Illinois is 17th right now with 1 loss.
They're 17 with 1 loss.
With a loss. So you're telling me if they lose to Nebraska and then
Purdue,
get
Michigan,
smoked by
Sparty,
Michigan, that they're going to be in the top 20. I mean, maybe borderline, but borderline at best. And that's if
so who else is eligible? Nebraska and Purdue, right? Because Minnesota's pretty much shot, right? They're done.
Now, yes. Well, pretty much, but again, it's such
so you're saying what your issue
right, so
is.
Nebraska has Illinois at home, then they have Minnesota at home, then they're at Michigan, and then they have Wisconsin at home, and then they're at Iowa. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Throw the Iowa game out. That's a complete rival.
The West could end up with a 4-loss team as
holy crap, and then
champion and unranked. And again, it's. I mean, nothing you can do about it, but it's just such a bad, potentially such a bad look for the conference to have, a Michigan team. Let's just say Ohio State runs the table and beats Michigan in a competitive game. Michigan runs the table except for Ohio State. I mean, you're going to have a Michigan team that could still be a top 5 team and almost definitely be a top 7 team. Right, even with a close loss to Ohio State, sitting there with no opportunity to play in the Big Ten championship game. Penn State could be a top 10 team at that point with 2 losses, no chance to play. And you're going to have a 3-loss or worse team representing the West. And it's just a bad, again, there's just not going to be, from a national perspective, I mean, you're going to tune in to see if there's a potential wild upset, and then after the first quarter when the Buckeyes are up 24-0, you're going to turn elsewhere.
That was Michigan, Iowa last year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's been a consistent thing. So why not next year?
Yeah, so I know.
Do away
go back
with
to your
that.
point. Yeah, so you're right. Just put the best 2 up there.
You have the opportunity to do it. Do it.
You can't change that back
if you're the conference, because I'm presuming that is what they're going to do once we get to the conference.
Tell you what I want to
expansion.
have happen when the realignment starts. I say we go to 20 teams. We go old 10, new 10. I don't want anything to do with this Big Ten people. They've hated us since then. F them.
There you
Kiss
go.
my you know what. I mean, I would absolutely. It would be great. Add in the 4 Pac-10s in Miami, or not Miami, but Notre Dame, and bang. Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers in there, Nebraska, the West Coast school, bang bang. There we go. So, yeah. I didn't think of that, Jeffrey, but good point. That's a hell of a point. Is why would you not try to change that? Because you know it's going to happen again this year.
Well, and it's just,
team.
And listen, you never know. I mean, maybe next year but the thing is, if you had it set up that way, then if somebody in the West does catch fire next year, that's fantastic. You set up.
Remind me how Michigan State beat Ohio State.
The two best teams. What's that?
Has it always been East-West? I mean, it all runs. They've changed so much over the years. When did Ohio State got beat by Michigan State in the Big Ten title? How did that happen? Did they not have East-West then? It was just
no. They've had East-West since the
Leaders and Legends. They may have been. It may have been before. Well, Nebraska was.
Yeah,
Nebraska was here 10 years ago. By the way. I just said Leaders and Legends. This brings the story up. You're going to laugh your ass off. So I remember when they were coming up with the conference names.
Yeah.
And I hate the Big Ten because of how they've treated us over the years and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people are like that. So
one of many reasons to hate.
I called a buddy and I said, dude, here, I just heard a rumor. And I know he's a huge Audibles like message board type of guy. And I said, dude, I'm telling you right now, I just heard a nasty rumor, and I don't think it's going to go over well. I said they're going to call the divisions the Bo Schembechler and the Woody Hayeses. And he flipped out because they didn't have any Paterno name in there whatsoever, yada, yada, yada. And everybody was going absolutely nuts and bonkers over it.
Well, I do think that they are looking at renaming them with the expansion to the Pelini division and the Solich division.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, man.
Yeah,
but what
anyways,
do you? I mean, just
the turning into the NFL just for a moment. I know the Chiefs look like world beaters, and the Chiefs are right there. I still think the Bills are the team to beat this year. But it is going to be interesting to see how this season plays out right now in a bunch of different regards, right? There are a lot of now intriguing storylines developing. Chief among them for me is the veteran quarterbacks and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and their respective teams. And can or will they be able to get things turned around at all? Because right now it is not looking very promising.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Please.
Somebody who will not be mentioned and may or may not be bartending at the Lube as we speak. She says, "Oh, Gisele Bundchen, I heard she's a witch. And she kept Tom Brady young for so long. And now that they're separating, she took the spell off and now he's aged overnight." And I said, that explains a lot better than anything else.
It does indeed.
I mean, I could get on board with that 100%, but you're a smart guy. I'm a smart guy when it comes to football. You know what I mean, no? But did we not expect this to happen to the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers? I mean, they take away. He took all the money, and if he has any,
and Devontae. I mean, I do. It is funny, and I think we've talked about this before. There are football is. We've said many times. I mean, it is the ultimate team sport, and yes, a great quarterback can be a difference maker. A great, pass rusher. There are difference makers at different positions, but you can have the greatest pass rusher in the history of football. I would argue that I still to this day will argue that Dan Marino is the greatest quarterback that ever played the game. He's certainly on the short list of contenders. Never won a Super Bowl, but I don't think it's because of Dan Marino. It is that you have to have everything else in place. And again, the Steelers in the 70s had it. Like everything just came together. And I think Chuck Noll was a great coach. But listen, having that roster certainly helped his victory total. I think Terry Bradshaw was a good quarterback, but obviously having that running game and those receivers and the whole bit. I mean, they all helped each other get to historic fame and legendary status. But I think when you look at, listen, Aaron Rodgers was and is a great quarterback, but yeah, Devontae Adams was a difference maker. Like that is what helped
proving that now
allow that to go. And the Patriots for all those years, and listen, it wasn't just Tom Brady, but man, you're telling me Belichick, because for years it was, Belichick, there's just no detail. Nobody can match him coaching-wise because every detail, it looked like some details might have been missed in practice this week up in New England. That is not exactly a Super Bowl contending Chicago Bears team that took the Patriots to the woodshed last night.
It was the weather.
Now, do I think Belichick's
not used to that weather?
Suddenly a horrible coach? No, but that's my point is, Don Coryell, I still think does not get enough credit for being a great coach, because I think he was. Marty Schottenheimer is still the ultimate to me. That guy was a great coach, but but he didn't win us. Well, right, because he didn't have there's so many things, and part of it, there is some luck. People don't want to admit it. When you're winning, it's, no, we just have the best at all this. You need very good coaching. You need very good players, all that. But you need a lot. You need a bounce that goes your way in a key game, a key moment, and it just
every team has to have has that moment.
Yes, and it just anyways, I still think Bill Belichick's a great coach, but yeah, he doesn't look nearly as great without the with no Tom Brady and with all of the other complementary pieces that they had for years. Tom Brady, that Buccaneers team is doing some soul searching right now. And listen, that Packers team is
done,
struggling mightily.
Done.
At the very least.
We I know we're going to get to some other stuff here, but
yeah.
I saw that you talk about the Chiefs and the Bills and this and that, and everybody has the Eagles ranked number 1 in the league because they're 6-0, 7-0, undefeated, this and that. No, it's not that close. They're not even in the same ballpark as Buffalo and Kansas City.
But that isn't to say. So there's a few things that come into play. So it is great to be the best now, and that's cool. And you want to. I mean, nobody's going to aim to not be the best at any given point, but there is so much season left, and I'm not wishing it upon anybody, but injuries are going to play a role. There's going to be some key pieces to some of these contending teams that are going to be injured. Now, are they injured for a week or two, or is it season ending and season altering injuries? Nobody knows. The guys you get hot at different times. You get cold at different times. Different players react differently to different situations. So again, it's not that anybody wouldn't take being undefeated right now, and the Eagles may play themselves. They may be the best team by the end of the year. But right now, as you're looking at it, I think healthy or even with the injuries that they have and the losses they have, which the Bills already have lost a couple for the year. But that team right now, top to bottom, I still think is the one best built for Super Bowl success this season. Plus, I think that they have that edge to them because they were that close the last couple of years, and last year in particular. And so, but again, let's see how it plays out. I know there's that's some gnashing of teeth with some in baseball and the way that things played out in the National League. I think it's fantastic. Again, it's why you have the postseason. This is where you need to show up, and it happens every year in football, right? Like it's very rare that you get the top seeds from each side getting there, and if you do, fantastic. Like then you have truly earned it. But part of there's a reason you have a regular season and then a postseason, and the postseason is to determine who puts it together when you need to put it together. There's a different pressure that comes with postseason anything, and it is one thing to do it during the regular season. And listen, I get it. There's different dynamics involved with the pitching rotation and all of that in baseball, but again, you know what it is going in. And I think it is, I think it's phenomenal for baseball and just for sports in general when you get teams like this making runs like this, like the Phillies.
Why are they complaining this year? The Atlanta Braves won last year as an 88-win team.
Yeah.
And they was like, oh, it's so great. Everybody can win the World Series. This and that. But now the Phillies and it's because the Yankees, Mets, the Dodgers, and the Padres, and all the big teams, they all lost. The Yankees, both Yankees, Mets
lost.
Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, and it's all. It just drives me absolutely bonkers. Like, just enjoy it. It's playoffs, and people were like, "Oh, well, you wouldn't be in the playoffs. It was last year's format." That wasn't the rules. They're in. They changed the rules, and they got in, and they're going to play for the World Series.
Did you say the Yankees lost?
Yankees lost.
They didn't get swept, though, did they?
The Yankees got swept. Yes, they did.
What?
Yep. $500 million. Well, I can't say they're the most expensive team in the league because all the other.
Well, yeah, but it's only been a couple of years, right? I mean, the Yankees are there every year. When was the last time they won the World Series? 2021 or 2020? Oh no, it was what? What's it?
2009 over the Phillies. Yep, I was there. I remember that one.
Yes, I'm a bitter Pirates fan, and I despise the Yankees. So give me my small little victory.
Yes.
let me run with
Couple things before we get off the air. I do want to say that Troy's Hoagies in Bellefonte, dude, call, get your order in for the weekend.
Do it.
Come by Quaker Steak and Lube, pick up some wings before the game. My goodness gracious, they are good. They travel well and this and that. Great food, both places.
Not a bad place to come and watch the
and
World
the
Series.
Phillies, I'm saying that
Saturday
Friday night
too.
we're going to have it on blasting around here. We'll be in the front room there, so we'll be rocking and rolling. And one other thing I do want to say is that we lost a very, 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 very good man the other day in Bonnie Kabaju. Bonnie was 34, died of prostate cancer. He was diagnosed to death within under 45 days.
Wow.
34-year-old should not be going down like that. And
No.
you know, I'm trying to think of who we lost Gary Brown earlier this year, and all the comments about Gary were, I never heard a bad person say a bad thing about him because he was always smiling, always happy, and this and that. And I'm like, Jesus, that was the same thing as Bonnie. I never saw the kid without a smile on his face.
No.
Even when times were tough, he was smiling like, man, this is hard as hell. You know, man, you're killing me, man. You're beating my ass and this and that. You know what I mean? Just a smile on his face and just a happy guy, a great guy. He was pretty successful real estate guy down in Lebanon area, I believe. And you know, young wife, three children, young, all under 10. God bless him, man. So rest in peace, Bonnie. Rest in peace, bro.
Indeed. We will be back on Thursday. We'll talk a little more, I suspect, about this Penn State-Ohio State game coming up at noon on Saturday, and perhaps touch on the World Series as well. You never know.
Maybe I'll put you in a hat or a shirt, Ironhead, man. Maybe.
We might even mention the Steelers-Eagles game. Oh, God. And I can't even enjoy the Penguins' second period last night was disastrous, so I can't even the one thing I'm trying to cling to, and then I can't even.
I don't know what happened. I didn't see what happened.
Oh, they gave up 4 in the second period against Edmonton. It was
you know how upset I am about that?
But
I am
I know.
Furious, Jeff.
I know that you are. But we have until Thursday to recover.
My Lord.
Until then, be good and be safe.
Make more good in the all-new Sportage X-Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local Lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
New Trail Brewing Company proudly crafts their beers right here in central Pennsylvania. Brewed with only the best possible ingredients, New Trail produces a variety of year-round brands as well as weekly experimental recipes. New Trail Broken Heels is Pennsylvania's favorite local hazy IPA. This beer is smooth and full-bodied. Hand-selected Citra hops lead to notes of bright clementine and juicy ruby red grapefruit. Broken Heels is perfect for a pregame tailgate all the way through the victory celebration.
What's the best mid-size pickup? Tacoma. What's the #1 mid-size truck in resale value? Tacoma. Want to get great gas mileage, 4 doors, and 4-wheel drive? Tacoma. Sioka Toyota of Williamsport has over 25 available right now. You can lease a brand new, never-driven Toyota Tacoma for just $379 a month. That's 30 months, 3,000 cash or trade, 10,000 miles a year. This is while supplies last. Buy yours or reserve yours today and see the Sioka difference. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.